Hello everyone, this is Varnit and I'm here to explain you all what massively parallel signature sequencing is. Now, massively parallel signature sequencing or MPSS was developed in late 1990s at Lynx Therapeutics by Sidney Brenner et al. As you can see, the name of the group is right over here. Now, what MPSS is? MPSS, as you know, as I've stated earlier, was invented by Sidney Brenner et al. And it is sequencing which is based on ligation. In short, it is a ligation based technique. It uses a signature of 16 to 20 bases, but in this slide we will see a technique of only 17 bases, signature of only 17 bases. It is, as you can see stated in the slide, is designed to capture the complete transcriptome. So, and the DNA is attached to a million microbeads in a flow cell. That is stuff of later use. So, what it is a bead-based method that uses a complex approach of adapter ligation followed by adapter decoding, reading the sequence in increment of 4 nucleotides. Now, we'll go further. So this you can see is the official photo which was released by Lynx Therapeutics. In here it explains everything step by step from loading of mRNA to biotins till the sequencing and how it's done. So shall we go into it? Now, as I've stated earlier, it's for transcriptome, like it is to capture the complete transcriptome. Now, what transcriptome is? Transcriptome, as you know, is the part of genome which code for things. Okay, like only the exons. So what we do is we first attach the mRNA, like poly A mRNA, to biotin. Then we subject it to a reverse transcriptase PCR where mRNA is converted into double stranded cDNA. Then it's digested with the help of restriction enzyme DPN2. And once the 5' overhang is achieved, because of the restriction digestion, as you can see, restriction digestion cannot happen at the 3' end because it's already attached to biotin. So it will happen at 5' end, and when the restriction digestion happens, it will create a 5' overhang. Now, in order to hide this 5' overhang, we attach a 5' adapter. Okay, attach as in ligate a 5' adapter to the 5' overhang. Now we subject it to affinity chromatography. As you know, biotin, streptavidin has a very high affinity towards biotin. So what it will do is it will capture our entire sequence as it is attached to the biotin, and then we can cleave the DNA off, okay, by using buffers. And then what we have is a 5' adapter attached to a DNA sequence which has a free 3' edge. So then type 2 restriction digestion happens again with the help of same enzyme DPN2, and when it happens we now attach a 3' adapter to it. Now what we do is we amplify the cDNA fragments, okay, and then digest it with the help of restriction enzymes so that all the 5' and 3' adapters are removed. Now what we do is we have a cDNA signature. After all this, now we insert it in a vector. As you can see here, this is a cDNA signature and this has tag. So we have 8 different tag words. Okay, now, okay, let me zoom out. Now what it does is we allow a vector to get amplified in a bacteria, in a host, to be more, to use a broad term. Now what happens it when it's replicate and when it's amplified, we cleave it off and we expose the cDNA signature and tag. So here you can see, acha, our bead has anti-tag. Anti-tag is nothing else but it is a complementary sequence to the tag that we have used. It is only of what to say, four nucleotide length. Now this, as the anti-tag is complementary to tag, our tag will get attached to it and will get attached to the bead with the help of anti-tag, and our tag is in turn attached to cDNA signature. Now what we get is a diagram of this sort. So as you can see, this is the bead. One of this strand is anti-tag, one is tag which is complementary to it, so it gets binded with the help of ligation, and on tag we have the cDNA signature. Now identification. So this is the preparation of microbeads, like loading of cDNA on microbeads. Now identification of cDNA and microbeads, how does that happen? So here it's shown bead, anti-tag and tag and cDNA signatures, and you can see there is a 5' overhang of 4 nucleotides. So now adapter has a recognition sequence of 4 nucleotides. So when an adapter recognizes a sequence on cDNA, recognizes as an when it's identical, like complementary to the sequence on cDNA, it gets ligated with the help of ligase enzyme. You can see in the adapter molecule there is an encoder. I'll tell you what encoder is later, and there is a BB1 site. BB1 is again a restriction endonuclease, it will cleave off. So after ligation we add a decoder. What decoder do is, see, so how it's developed. Now every decoder is for one nucleotide, okay, and it's created in such a way that the starting nucleotide of the recognition sequence has an encoder. It matches only the starting point, okay. So what it does is the decoder now gets attached to the encoder, and we expose it to BB1 and it cleaves off and exposes the next 4 nucleotides. So it happens in such a way that on top, in order to create a 4 nucleotide overhang, it cleaves it unevenly, okay. So what happens next is, as you can see, it's 17 signature cDNA, okay. So what happens is it will cleave first 4 off, then repeats the same reaction again, then cleaves the first 4 off, then the same thing, and it will cleave 4 4 4 up till 16, okay. And 17 sequence we can know by any ordinary means. MPSS has found application in multiple fields. The three of them, namely, are first gene expression, second variation analysis, third genome mapping. How it how it's applicable in gene expression is by, as you remember, I first stated like it is for capturing entire transcriptome, and in entire transcriptome contains entire set of genes that are expressed as we grow. So that way it helps by letting you know what are the different genes in our body, what are their sequences, and if you want you can isolate a particular gene and express it by doing translation, transcription and all. Now variation analysis, as you can see, it is very specific for every nucleotide, and in case of whether if there is a SNPs involved, it SNPs generally have one nucleotide or two nucleotide difference from the original. So it can help like that by telling you, okay, at this position this nucleotide is different from the original, And genome mapping, recently MPSS was used to find in entire genome sites that are super sensitive or hypersensitive to DNAs. Okay, so in that way it helps in genome mapping. Okay, general challenges, like if it has a large number of gene these are the general challenges of DNA sequencing. Okay, first we have to know the sequence of some or all genes. Okay, second, there are large number of genes, like how many we have? 25,000 genes in human alone, approximately 25,000. Now, how do we keep challenge number one, how do we keep samples and equipment small and affordable, and how do we analyze the amount of data? Okay, so I will tell you how many challenges are solved with the help of MPSS and let us subsequent slides. Okay, so MPSS, what are its advantages? It creates a digital data that is easiest to store in database and compare. So challenge first, like the large number of genes. Challenge number second is completed. Like how do we analyze the amount of data? So here, what it does, it creates a digital database which is easy to store and compare. Okay, now MPS's signatures are longer and therefore are more unique when compared to other NGS's next gen sequencing. Uh, the third one is produces more sequences, allowing gene with lower expression levels to be identified. Now, the thing with all the other sequencing is they have more focus on the genes which have a higher expression level. In case of MPSS, it has very much of a high sensitivity and it can even tell you the genes which are present but has lower expression levels. Okay, and see, you can see there is a challenge, need to know the sequence of some or all genes. So in case of MPSS, gene sequence do not need to be known before experiment. This is very advantageous in current scenario, as these days we have a very like hypothesis based biological experiments, like we create a hypothesis and then we see whether this is right or wrong. So in case of that, MPSS is very beneficial because we need not have any prerequisite. Okay, now what are its disadvantages? Like everything has its pros and cons, MPSS also has its disadvantages. First, it's expensive, it's very expensive. Second, it's a relatively new technique. It is a relatively new technique because it's how much, I think 20 years, 20-25 years old, which is still like it is a relatively new technique when compared to others. So very less information is available and a lot of time and money are required to perform this experiment on multiple samples. Okay, those are the disadvantages. Now about case study. Many pathogens evolve continuously by mutation and by exchanging gene segments among their population. For example, influenza virus constantly mutates by reassortment, making the existing vaccines ineffective and requiring a new vaccine to be made based on new strains. This less frequent major changes in a virus's genome is known as antigenic shift. Okay, understanding the evolution of influenza virus in birds and mammals is important for surveillance and vaccine strain selection. Using Sanger sequencing, Salzburg et al. Sequenced and analyzed the complete genome of 36 recent influenza A H5N1 viruses, the strains of which were collected from birds in Europe, North America, Southeastern Asia, Northern Africa. Okay, the next generation sequencing, how it can help is by providing rapid data about antibiotic susceptibility and or resistance and other virulence markers. This knowledge in turn and should lead to improve diagnostics, monitoring and treatment of diseases. Also, another clear benefit of next generation sequencing is that rare variants in clinical strain population can be detected by the virtue of depth of sampling obtained. Now, conclusion, MPSS has one of the highest throughputs among next generation sequencing. It is a relatively new technique, so it can be improvised further as the time improves. Also, it is very helpful in recent days of hypothetical testing in biology because it does not need any prerequisite information. These are the references. Thank you.